McClusky is through clowning around. They're back with their first new album in 20 years. Formed in 1996 and then reformed in 2014, bandleader Andrew Falkous has finally assembled a collection of songs he and his mates can be proud of, including one inspired by Chekhov and another by Franz Kafka.
I've read Kafka years ago, a couple, a little Kafka, but part of the title really just comes from uh, people describing things as Kafkaesque.
Yes.
Which there was a bit of a plague of that. I think about 12 years ago, everything was Kafkaesque for a while.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where me and a couple of friends would wonder if Franz Kafka could ever really be considered to be Kafkaesque, because it seemed as if the bar for being Kafkaesque had been raised to such a point. Although I suppose ultimately the paradigms of being Kafkaesque exist really almost entirely around the fuselage of Franz Kafka.
Yes. Well, it's kind of scary to think that even he couldn't even raise himself to that bar. So, geez.
Yeah, imagine it's just not quite Kafkaesque enough for us, old Franzi. You know.
And while we're on the literary motif, you got Chekhov in there as well. And it's gun.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Two examples of Eastern European literature in one set of album titles. That tells you exactly how many copies this album's going to sell.
yeah, you're tearing it up. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, even if you do
absolutely.
sell
Well,
them, you're not going to get any of the money anyway, so it's fine.
yeah. So why not sabotage it right at the start? You're
Yeah,
quite
it's all about the
correct.
streaming numbers, you know?
Oh, oh, I see the streaming numbers. Well, I have to because I have a Spotify for Artist app. But yeah. I don't think the let's face it, slightly obscure literary references, which
Yeah,
are all jokes rather than genuine references, are
right.
going to lead us to riches and fame.
Right, right. Okay, now let's get down to business here. This album is your first one in about 20 years. So I know you guys have been together on and off in the interim since then, but you've finally gotten around to putting this thing together. What was the motivation behind that? The big bucks was not, obviously.
No, no, it's not a financial enterprise, this band, quite the opposite. It almost happened by osmosis. We were just playing songs, uh, spending time together, and it was a natural conversation which happened. Should we write a record? And then having a couple of rehearsals and a couple of okay ideas, and it was nice and it worked. And then you do it more, and then all of a sudden you've got an album. It took a little bit longer than we would have liked because of various family commitments. We just can't rehearse that often, but
Right.
that's rock and roll is not very young people. You can't just leave your call center job like I used to and go and rehearse every single night for a week. A, I don't have a call center job.
Oh,
And being my wife and daughter would be pretty annoyed if I was rehearsing every single night. I'm not sure. Although
yeah.
I don't know, maybe my wife would be far more excited with our life. But my daughter wouldn't have anyone to do Lego with, so
Right, right.
what would I do?
Yeah, you're right. It's a call center job. Didn't Elvis Costello have a call center job when he was starting out? If I remember correctly. I don't know. I'm older than
I
you.
don't know.
But
Probably.
sorry, my brain just gets all over the place. All right, so
No, I get it. Yeah.
so you've written these songs. So I'm wondering, what was the motivation behind making and writing the songs? Was it because you just wanted to play, or you had something to say, or a little of both?
I suppose, like anybody doing a record, I've got something to say, but I'm not sure I had a particular thing to say. It wasn't like here's a record, we've got things to say. I think
Right,
there's a kind of defiance to the record, but
right.
also just a stating of the obvious. The world is still here, and so are we. I mean, I think the meaning of that really depends on the tone of how you say it. You could sound resigned saying that, but it could also be a giant fuck you, couldn't it? The world is still here and so are we.
Yep,
There's this, but in a more neutral sense, it's just a statement of fact. The
yep.
world is still here and we're here too. Um, and from the moment it came up with the title, I thought it exactly says the things, though not explicitly, that you'd want to say after being away for 20 years. It nods towards the period of time, without being explicit about. I think a lot of the best songs I write are about things without being about them. you know.
Hmm.
That's as close as I can get sometimes to describing what a song is. Because the problem with a song or an album is it should just internally communicate what it's about.
Right.
If you need cliff notes for it, then maybe there's a problem with the expression, with the communication on one level, and the expression is much to do with the tone
Right.
and the general personalities of the people involved as the explicit words or whatever. The songs don't have necessarily have a beginning and a middle and an end.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because
You
that
know,
way
they
it kind of
they
leaves open for interpretation. The listener can add whatever they want to it or not, as the case may be.
to a degree, but I think over the course of 33 minutes and then a few albums and then other stuff, they can start being pointed in a general direction of things. Actually, during the course of this cycle of doing some interviews, which have all been lovely, by the way,
Oh, that's nice.
two different French people explained to me what different songs were about, and you know what? They were absolutely correct. They were absolutely correct. So, because the songs tend to have an internal logic, like it's obvious to me if something's jarring lyrically or musically, but I can't always put my finger on it. But your subconscious is you're doing art in any way is always working and is always working on themes, even if you won't exactly admit it to yourself.
Right, right, right. Okay, that's interesting. You're learning from talking to people about your own music.
Yeah, so it's in a lot of senses. In some senses, it's finished. It's there. Listen to the song. In other senses, it's alive. And not in a way that means you have to hit it with a spade and kick it out into the back garden.
Right, right, right. So now I think you have I think the most recent release up until release day is Way of the Exploding Dickhead, which you definitely have something to say there. Where did that? Hey, if you want to elaborate, feel free. This is the time to do it.
A picture tells 1,000 words. We're trying to put them in. The surge is precisely to the value of nothing. The surge is precisely to the value of none.
There was a computer game when I was a kid, probably about 40 years ago, called Way of the Exploding Fist, which was
Oh,
like a karate kind of game. So that's where the title comes from. The song is literally about the inspiration for the song was hearing all day about how, people were queuing for tickets for particular band's big concert and the they couldn't get the tickets and they were getting all annoyed and people were being charged so much. So that's the inspiration.
ah,
That's the operation. That's the questions ended up being asked about it in Parliament. That was the inspiration for that song. But that's not what the song's about. You couldn't read the
no, I
song
would not have
and
read that
work
in
that
there.
out.
No.
No, but that's the feelings which inspired the song that
Gotcha.
day. It just all flooded into that song, and yes, that's kind of that's the seeds of that song. What it actually became, I mean, it's a ridiculous shouty load of nonsense, but it's lots of fun to play, and I love that song. To me, that's really slinky. It's really slinky. It really slides and it struts. I like music which struts. I like a bit of
Uh-huh.
a strut.
Okay, all
Mm.
right. And your videos are pretty intense. The people person, particularly visceral to watch. Uh, I think you use wrestlers in that, I hope. Somebody who knew what they were doing.
I had very little to do with the videos. I happen to love them. I
Right?
think they're great. I think they're fantastic. And I'm not a natural video performer. I'm saying I had to kind of be talked into it a bit to be
Gotcha.
in the videos.
All right.
I'm a person on stage. I can sell a song. I've got it in me. It's my stage. Come here, I'll sell you a fucking song. On a video, you get some performers, they can talk to a camera or whatever, do stuff. I'm not a natural at that.
Right.
I'm quite self-conscious in that sense. But being put in those ridiculous scenarios by Remy, who
Yeah.
made the videos, and he's a very lovely man, it's just an absolute pleasure to have somebody who's so passionately engaged with making that. And I think particularly the last video, which is called the Chekhov's Guns video,
Right. Right. Right.
I think even if you take the music away from that, it's a work of art down to the last second where the guys with the fire extinguishers come in and put the clown out. It's
Yes.
really, it's so brilliant. I'm very proud to be associated with it. It's very nice.
Yeah, well, it's great if you have a director who actually knows what he wants from the performance and can tell you what he wants, rather than somebody who just goes, "Oh, just go for whatever you feel," because nobody wants
Yeah.
that, especially if
Yeah,
that's what you do for a living.
I thought I wouldn't like direction because one of the whole points of making music, as opposed to being other art forms, is
Yep.
you get to do exactly what you want at your own speed and in your own time. But it's been fab. We've got one more video to come out, which I'm not sure will be out the end of this week or the beginning of next week. But that's even more ridiculous
Oh,
than
good. I can't wait.
all the previous three put together.
Better to kiss the ring than be corrosion. So says my guide, the two medieval gemstone. Better to kiss the ring than be corrosion. Better to mean it, man. Better to mean it. Put it away, you fool. No one is watching. Better to mean it, man. Better to mean it.
If you look at these videos, you would assume that the budget we had was huge. And let me tell you, it was not.
Okay.
Right.
No, they look great, and they're extremely
It's
entertaining.
absolutely fantastic. And like I say, it's been it's been really surprising. It wasn't something we sought out. But like I say, the guy Remy who did it, he's a legend. Fair play to him. Fair
Right,
play
right.
to him.
Very cool. Now let's get into the music here. Now I know the previous albums that you've done, you kind of recorded in Chicago, Steve Albini's place, all that. Steve's no longer with us, sadly.
Mm.
So what would you have made this one with him if it was possible? And how did it come together music wise and all the technical crap that
We,
everybody wants to
we,
hear about?
we, we we wouldn't have made this album with him because we'd already kind of started it with our friend Ant,
Right?
and it felt it, not on. It wasn't like giving him a go or being fair to him. He did a great fucking job, and that's how we wanted it to sound.
Sure.
But we were potentially going to be recording with Steve either probably the next record, and we were actually meant to be recording with him last April in France.
Oh,
But we weren't able to, because of work conflicts, we weren't able to go and record. I mean, that's sad. It's really sad, and it gets sadder all the time, to be honest with you. But it's sadder for his really good friends and family. So I can't really possibly have any thoughts like that. It's not. I mean, sometimes to cope as human beings, we have to create our own stories from events, don't we? And put ourselves at the center of narratives. But it ain't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's really sad.
yeah,
Really
yep.
sad. But try to keep, the same recording principles to the way we do it. I mean, you basically slap it down live and then you stick some singing over the top and you go, did it need an extra guitar? Make it sound a bit better in some places? The answer is sometimes. And that's all the thought which goes into it, really, except it's a question, recording is as much about capturing the best performances as it is about capturing the sounds from those performances.
Right.
Because you can kind of situate. I can certainly, but some of the songs in that record, I can situate myself in my mind back in those moments when they happened, and they're really magical, really
Cool.
magical.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've spoken to quite a few people who worked with Steve over the years, and everyone, I mean, it's a major loss because everybody is just, devastated that he's gone and the stuff that
Yeah,
was
and yeah,
important.
yeah, from work ethic to uh, ultimately the way you lead by example, don't you? Or you not lead. That's a bit pompous. You exist by example. And it's all very well to say words about somebody or to self-declare as a particular thing, but the work's there. So, the
Yep.
work's there,
Yep.
and
Yep.
the support's there, and the words are there about him. So fair play to the guy, and it'll only get sadder all the time. But like I say, as anybody who, I'm sure you've lost people as well. When you lose people, ultimately it's sad for them, and then it's about the people left behind.
That's right. Yes, indeed. Now, the rest of the band is you got Damien and Jack in the group these days.
Mm, mm,
Jack's been around for a while, Damien less than that. But
mm.
how does it feel to you as far as the chemistry between the three of you? Is it different than
It's
what it
really
used to be
nice.
in the 90s, say?
Yeah, it's different, but it's just what it needs to be to make it just everybody's. Um, we don't have a lot of conversations about our quote unquote career, but when we do, we make sure that you go, okay, so you want to do a record now? Yeah, cool. Maybe another one. Let's not worry about whether it sells a lot of copies or not. That doesn't determine what it is.
Yeah.
It does probably determine the opportunities you get from the record, whether that's touring, whether that's to New Zealand or whatever. That's what that determines. It doesn't determine how happy we are with doing it.
Yeah.
And the way we see touring, frankly, is a large part is a holiday from which we make a little bit of money.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's especially when it's as far away as New Zealand. You've got to enjoy it to expose yourself to those flight times.
You were here in 2020, is that correct?
2020, just before the
COVID
pandemic.
in
Yeah.
January, yeah. So you
Mm,
just missed it.
yeah.
That was good timing.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about the gig, about the country, about the visit? The
Yeah,
Kiwis
I
love to hear
remember it.
about other people's thoughts on New Zealand, so I have to ask.
Yeah. I mean, I'd only been to New Zealand before to play a festival with the band Future Left in, is it Byron Bay? No, no, it's not Byron
That's
Bay. It was
Australia.
no, yeah, it was no, it was, what was the festival called? I'm trying to
Big day
remember what it was
out,
called. No, it wasn't Big Day Out. It
laneway.
was
I don't know.
no. Anyway, it was a really cool, but I'm talking like 2008 or something, a
All
long
right.
time ago. So it was very much a flying visit. But then we did Wellington and Auckland, and
Great.
it was yeah,
Yeah.
it was really fantastic. I mean, for me, if I get any chance to go to any city, I don't really run anymore because I ended up with lots of physical injuries because of running. I used to run about 100 miles a week,
Crikey.
but I just had to, I had to, yeah, it just messed up my body. I mean, I don't really regret it because I got to see a lot more of places. I basically just get to a place, try not to be too tired and just go for a really long run.
Gotcha.
Um, I've seen some great cities as a result. I've got an hour in Cologne. What can I do? I can cover maybe I don't know, 3 miles walking, or if I stick on my trainers, I can go for a 6 mile run and I can see the cathedral or
Yep.
whatever. Apart from the day I went the wrong way and ended up 10 miles away from Cologne and had to find my way back to the venue. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, Wellington and Auckland are certainly visually very different places.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's almost yeah, it's like Portland versus Seattle or something,
Yep.
in
Yep. Yep.
terms of the
Yep.
way those places look. But I can't say I spent long enough in those places to understand whether that was more than skin deep.
Right. 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 Now
But yeah,
you're coming to Australia later in the year, aren't you?
in January,
In
yeah,
January
in
next year.
January,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I don't know if
yeah.
you're going to make it over here or not, but it would be nice if you
I
would.
don't, I don't believe, on this occasion, though. Financially,
Yeah.
it's such a huge risk as you can imagine, and in fact on this Australian tour, it's like, for example, we're not doing Perth because its remoteness means that financially it's really difficult for us to do. If we were a band who doubled the amount of tickets we did, it would
Yep.
be eminently
Yeah.
possible,
Yep.
but we don't, so it's not.
Well, after this album, I'm sure it'll all happen because it's highly commercial.
Hey, if I certainly wouldn't. It is, isn't it? It's like it's a cross between prime Michael Jackson and a different Charles Molester.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.